This is the Dreyer podcast, a podcast all about siblings and the people, places, and pop culture that raised us. In today's episode, after diving into one of the most unhinged conversations I've ever had with ChatGPT, Jacqueline and I go through the roster of actors and actresses that would play our family members in the Hollywood movie about our family. After which we dive into today's main topic, which is all about the nostalgia that is and was YTV, which was, for those of you who don't know, an unapologetically Canadian children's television network. After we wrap up our conversation about YTV, we will share this week's unhinged text message from a family member, and it is a continuation of my unhinged relationship with ChatGPT. Let's go. Cool. Just before we started, Noah asked if she could come say hello on the podcast. Obviously, she was just here. You know that. I doubt that's making it into the actual episode. But before we started, like I'm getting set up, I'm like putting my earphones in, like turn on the lights, and she goes, I know Auntie Jacqueline does the podcast, but what do you do? And I was like, oh no. I'm like, I actually also do the podcast. I'm also here sometimes. And she's like, yeah, but what do you do? I'm like, well, I talk a little bit and Auntie Jacqueline decides the topic. And then she's like, okay, but so what do you do? I'm like, I don't do anything. Auntie Jacqueline just does it all.
You're like, I provide colorful commentary that is
I mispronounce
peppered in
words
throughout the episode.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, let me get this straight.
It's weird when kids ask you things that it's really hard to explain on their level. Like Aaron's 8, and the other day he asked me what a liberal was. And I was like, oh boy, in the cultural political landscape I'm living in the United States of America in the year of our Lord 2025, explaining what a liberal is to my 8-year-old son is pretty rough.
Yeah, we are in. So today, actually the reason Noah just left in a hurry, because today is the anniversary of the end of the Battle of Okinawa. So it's actually a holiday here in Okinawa. They're about to start the ceremony stuff on TV. Yesterday, she went to like a really local, we went to a really local like ceremony for the end of the war in Okinawa. It's 80 years ago now. She was the only, Seiko was like the youngest person, like she was the bar. And then so Noah being there, like all the old people were really kind of delighted that someone her age was showing up to this thing that has, significance. And so Noah's in school, she's learning about war. I'm like, was that the grade 1 curriculum? Like, is this what we're the third month of school and we're just hitting war? Like, is this?
I don't remember that part of first grade.
No, I don't remember that either. But so she's like, every day I'm picking up and she's like, did you know America is bad? And I'm like, is that how they frame it in school? Like, is that how they're delivering the curriculum? And she's like, obviously I didn't ask her that question. I'm like, did your teacher tell you that? She's like, no. But America was having a war with Okinawa. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And so now obviously what's going on in the world, war is a hot topic in our house. We're like sitting down for dinner. Yeah, sitting down for dinner. We're like, all right, let's just check the news really quickly. Every channel is just all about war. And this circles all the way back to what you were talking about, trying to break something down for a younger brain to understand. Noah's wondering when the war is going to come here again. By the way, just for those of you who are tuning in for the light topic, lighthearted, funny content that we're always hitting you with, today
we're gonna get there.
Yeah, because there is always humor in war. Like, what? Anyway,
it's been an insane experience here. Like we just had, what's the date? The 22nd of June. So we just had Juneteenth here. And so for Juneteenth, I wanted to read Underground to Canada, the book Underground to Canada. I believe it's by Barbara Smucker. And I wanted to read it to Aaron, kind of just to, I guess celebrate the day with like some type of awareness of what it meant. Do you remember the book Underground to Canada?
No, but I remember reading it as like a grade 4, 5, 6 student.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably when you would have read it. And I have a copy of it here. And it's about 2 slave girls that are escaping across the Underground Railway to get into Canada. And the problem with it, it's very old. I believe it was published in the 60s or 70s. And there's language in it that I would never use throughout. And so I'm reading this book and censoring so much of it to try and make it like obviously palatable. There's words that I don't even want Aaron to have in his
what language? What words in particular? Just print them out right now.
I think you might be able to think of some of the words that would be inappropriate for me as a white person to read to my white child before bed.
By the way, this is I believe our podcast is actually rated like PG. I think I had to choose like a rating. I don't know if there's like an automatic scanning of podcasts where it could get upgraded. We've probably danced closely a few times.
Yeah. Anytime we talk about hot dogs, we get pretty close.
Yeah. Yes. Hot dogs or the country of Germany, the entire country. You never know.
Which comes up more than you think. So anyways, we finished reading this book. And of course, he has all these questions. But it's really nice in these situations to be a person from Canada, because I can be like, yeah, not in Canada. Sorry, it never happened there. So like it's a soft place to land, I think, when you're trying to make your kids aware of something that horrible that happened in this country, to be like, but also you're half Canadian, and you don't have to worry about it because Canadians didn't worry about it.
Half of you doesn't have to worry. Half of you should probably be paying reparations, but their other half is fine. The speed of which I pull out the I'm Canadian card here in Okinawa is unbelievable. It's Donovan Bailey fast.
Deep Canadian cut.
Yeah. That's how I am. Like Seiko too. Seiko's like, she sees how quickly I do it. And so like right away, like we'll go and like, for example, we like literally just came back. I had to have a full outfit change because I was drenched in sweat. We just went to look at a property that's literally right behind our house right now. It's like nothing about our situation would change except we are moving like 150 meters that way.
And going into debt.
Yeah, and going into debt, also that. But like when we go to view these properties, the question will come up like, oh, so like, do you work on base? And so like we just get ahead of it right away. We're like, we're Canadian, don't work on the base, work at home, need a remote office, we need a bigger house, blah, blah, blah. And so we get it out pretty quickly.
I've lived here for 22 years and I still identify myself. Well, look, I'm wearing a Toronto Raptors shirt currently. It's very important to me to identify myself as Canadian to people. I have American citizenship. When like we talked about before, traveling with American kids when you're a Canadian is very difficult and would cause dad to have nervous breakdowns every time we went across the border.
We talked about that.
So it was just easier for me to obtain American citizenship. And I'm not sure if we talked about the ceremony that you go through and how intense it is. And one of the things that I promised when I took my oath of citizenship was that I would be willing to bear arms in war for the United States of America, which seems like it might actually come. I was like, yeah, I'm going to say these words. I'm lying. I'm like a liar. I'm just saying whatever I need to say. And then like war breaks out and I'm like, oh boy, I sure hope that doesn't come back to haunt me.
Expect that knock in the next several days.
I believe you held your hand in the air and said, you promised.
Photographic evidence.
Yeah. And we need some real soft Canadians to be in the army.
Yeah. You are on the front lines.
Being like, I'm sorry, this is stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have bothered you, other country. Goodbye. I always think about like, you know what, you watch like survival shows or zombie. I don't watch zombie movies. Out of all types of movies, zombie movies are the things that bother me the most.
Really?
Like, horror wise. Yeah, I don't like zombies. I watched the first season of The Last of Us and I couldn't continue. It makes me deeply uncomfortable because it's always like your friends or family members turn into zombies and then you have to make a choice of like if you're going to kill them or whatever. If any type of like end of days stuff breaks out, I will be the first to surrender and say, I don't want to do this anymore. I will lay down in the backyard and
I volunteer. Volunteer for what? Okay.
I have no survival instinct whatsoever. So I'd be like, you know what? If you need someone to just like take one for the team, I would totally do it. I don't want to survive is what I'm saying.
I feel like every couple probably has like the 3 or 4 recurring conflicts that will never be resolved. Just like it is just oil and water. Like there's no, like we've talked about it before, your shopping habits, and then Justin's reconciliation, the bookkeeping of those purchases, oil and water. That'll never change. And you just might as well not even talk about it.
Yeah.
One of mine and Seiko's, like, we just shouldn't even talk about it, is when something starts to happen, her natural reaction, like any like commotion, her natural response is like, oh, let's go and see what this is about. Let's go right towards all of this commotion to see what's happening over here. And my natural reaction is like, grab everybody and run. Just run. Yeah. Like, I'm programmed for that. I'm like, I don't want to go into it. I feel like I've got a pretty good like radar for like when things are about to happen. We've talked about this in a previous episode as well. Like Dan is hyper. He's like, he's like, it's like he's living 3 seconds in the future. He'll like move you 2 feet to the left and you're like, what the? And then a bottle comes flying and you're like, oh, got it. That's what, how did you know?
He's Jason Bourne.
Yeah, he really is. But Seiko and I, that's one of the things. And so we always talk about, like, if it ever goes down, I'm like, Seiko, your natural response is going to be like, oh, let's go see what this is about. Please do not do that. Turn around and go the other way. And then once you get into the territory of like, you always, then everything starts to deteriorate really quickly in the conversation. I'm like, you always. And she's like, oh, do I always? Well, and then, so all I'm trying to say is,
fight.
Yeah, instant fight. That's one of our like 3 or 4. We can't even discuss it because it will all break down there. And it's the oil and water of her in an end of days situation, running right into the end, and me trying to get the family out to the days.
See, I wouldn't run towards the commotion. I'd probably just like sit in my house and wait. I'd just like wait and see what happened. I would not be interested in surviving in any way, shape, or form. I'm not meant for that life. I'm not meant to be. It's like, do you ever watch White Lotus? Have you ever watched it? In this last season, there's a woman who's just like, at my age, I'm not meant to be uncomfortable. And I really, when she said that, I was like, no, that's how I feel. I'm at an age where I do not want to be uncomfortable. So end of days happens. I'm just probably going to lay in my bed and eat until whatever happens.
And there's always that scene in the zombie movies too, where they're like going from house to house, trying to find some canned tuna or cat food or whatever. And they go into that one house that still has all the pictures on the wall. And the couple is just fully in the bed and they're just skeletons now. Except yours would just be you and I'm guessing a dog.
Oh, 100% it would be me and the dog. I'd tell everybody else to leave. Just save yourselves. me and Birdie clutching each other.
Why? This has been, I would say, the worst start to any episode that we've ever had.
It's really hard to like break into some levity with what's happening all around us, to just like to work in some type of like topical, like what's going on, and also make it fun. How?
Well, I'll try to change the topic here.
Bless you.
And the best way to do that is by announcing that you're going to change the topic. I think I'm going to change the topic.
We're going to switch gears. Is what I like to say.
Yeah, I like to switch gears. Let's switch it up. Let's change the tempo. It's hot here, and I don't want to complain because it's very hot, but I don't want to complain because it's the reason that we came here. And I don't remember if I've mentioned this on an episode before, but one of the main reasons we left Canada, I'm sure I've mentioned this, is because of the snow, right? And the frustration of like taking an extra 3 minutes every time you need to go out to like put on snow pants and snow boots and warm up the car and scrape off the ice and brush off the snow and fight with your spouse and fight with your kid, get in the car and then go somewhere where you need to show up like a family that has it all together. And so I was like, Seiko, like think about it. Every time we go out, we're wasting like 3 to 5 minutes, right? Minimum. How many times do we go out in a week? Like, let's start to add this up. All right.
It's not efficient.
Yeah. It's like, we need to go somewhere where we don't have to get ready. Like, what? I'm sorry, a nudist colony? Do we just want to, we don't have to think about anything. And so we moved here in the summer. So for like the 3-4 months of like the absolute heat, like where it's like 36 degrees Celsius, 98% humidity. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm assuming very warm.
It's warm.
And that, I'm guessing over 100. Okay, let me just do
What
the
did you?
conversion.
Yeah,
36.
do a conversion real quick. 36 is over 100 for sure.
No.
It was like 98.
96.8? Really?
Mm.
It's the humidity though that really gets you.
it's
like it's the wind chill. In the winter, I'm like, it's the wind chill. It's -5, but with the wind chill. Yeah, like you're just wet all the time. And the one thing that I've noticed about well, not the one thing, I've noticed many things, but the deodorant in Japan doesn't really, it's not really calibrated. I don't know why I said that like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not calibrated for a sweaty animal like me.
For someone like you, yeah.
Yeah. So like end of June, beginning of July kicks off, and Seiko starts to drop like the you're a little bit smelly comments as your loved one, as your,
and you're like, this is conversation number 2 that will always start a fight.
yeah. No, I take it in strides. I'm like, all right, yeah, let me go check what I got to help with this. And then, but Noah has started saying it now, and she's like, Daddy, you're smelly. I'm like, you're just saying that I don't smell like you guys. That's what it is. Like, can we just, I don't smell like you guys. That's all it is. It's a different smell. This is a cultural difference here. Okay. I'm Canadian. Seiko, you're Japanese. Noah, you're half Japanese.
Canadians smell different.
Yeah. We smell different, right? A little bit of maple.
They smell like mostly like the plastic, like the rubber floors in a hockey rink.
Yeah.
That's what they smell like.
Yeah, and autumn foliage. Like I think those two together, a little drizzle of maple syrup. And so I chalk it up as like, you guys are just super sensitive. That's all this is. Like you're so sensitive. There's no way that I actually like I'm putting on deodorant, okay? Come on. And so the other day, Seiko and the girls left. They had to go to like a doctor's appointment or something, and I'm in my office working away, and the house is silent, and it just hasn't happened in a while. The house is just super silent, and I'm like,
so
I just need to go get a refill of my water. And I walk out of my office down the hall, and the second I step foot into the living room, our air purifier kicked on at like the highest degree. It's like like red light, like this is danger level air quality. And I'm like, oh great, you too. Like, why don't we all just team up on Ryan?
As soon as you walk in the room, like, I cannot live like this. The air filter is like, I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm like, Seiko programmed it. She programmed it for sure.
Every time you walk in her room. Okay, so what are you going to do about it?
Sorry, are you actually asking the question, or is this some like?
Yes, I want to know what is your solution to this? Like, you can't just go around being smelly to everyone and your air purifier.
No, first of all, I'm in denial. I'm like, there's no way. Seiko reprogrammed the air purifier. That's the only logical explanation for this, right? For everyone, it's a team up on Ryan. That's how far she's going to prove the point. She has reprogrammed the air purifier. It's now a motion detector. It's not even
she's gonna like start asking people on the street ahead of time. Be like, hey, my husband's gonna be coming by. Can you tell him that he smells?
Yeah. It's just a prank. Play along. So iHerb, I'm going to be ordering from the website iHerb, which does not sell weed. It sells things that you cannot buy over the counter here in Japan, and I'll get it shipped from Korea, where I'm sure it will solve all of my problems. I have half of an order placed later this afternoon. I'm going to get it done and send the order in a couple of days. And if the air purifier kicks on now, when I walk in, I know that it's been tampered with.
Someone's done something to it. One of like my guilty pleasures is supplements, which sounds crazy because like who cares that much about supplements? But I always feel like a supplement that I'm going to order is the supplement that's going to fix my whole life. So I order like vitamin D, and then I'm like, ooh, this is going to fix everything. I'm going to have so much energy, and then it doesn't give me energy. Right now I'm taking beef liver capsules. You have to take 6 a day. It's supposed to fix your life.
Just eat the beef liver. I'm assuming that's how
absolutely not disgusting.
The weight is the exact same.
And if you go online, everybody says the exact same thing. Just eat beef liver. And I was like, well, I'm obviously not going to do that. So I will take my 6 beef liver capsules a day and see how that goes. I have an entire cupboard in my house devoted to supplements that were supposed to fix my life and didn't. And then I relegated to the back of the cabinet.
The Flintstone gummies are all just one.
Yeah. Every time my kids are sick, I'm like, oh wait, I've got something for that. They're like, can I just take an Advil? I was like, no, I have so many supplements. It's going to fix your whole life. Here, take your beef liver and shut up.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing, and I will go deep on the research. I will use some of my.
I love it.
I will use some of my ChatGPT deep research credits on it, but I also frame it in a very like non-educational, scientific format. I'll be like, just tell me all the reasons why this is a good decision.
Please confirm my bias.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, except for when it's my garden, and by garden I mean my 2 banana trees. Have we talked about this?
Yes, we talked about, we have talked about it. I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast, but I did want to talk about your message that you sent to everybody about that. And specifically here, I'm going to pull it up. It's not time for unhinged texts, and we have other
Wait, which one is it? Because actually, the episode where I talked about my recovery from when I was sick with ChatGPT never made it because your audio didn't record. So I don't think
video didn't record.
I don't think we've gone deep on the things that I rely on ChatGPT for, but right now I'm pretty deep. And actually right now, like I just opened it up, and I kid you not, the app was already open with my banana tree chat on ChatGPT.
Okay, you did. So you shared your banana tree chat with us in the sibling thread. You said, don't mind me, I'm just over here living life as an AI power user. I told you, pro tip, if you combine this with the cow pig manure you just added, did you really put cow pig manure in your banana tree?
Yeah, a mixture of cow and pig manure.
Okie dokie. And keep everything moist. You're mimicking a natural banana grove. This will help your plants recover beautifully. If you want, I can also tell you which leaves to cut off now and which to leave, because timing your pruning helps your bananas grow faster. Want me to? Banana emoji, scissors emoji. And then I said, Ryan, this is too much. Can you do the thing where you ask it to make a depiction of what it's like to talk to you all day long? Because I saw this as a trend on Reddit. People in the ChatGPT Reddit were asking their ChatGPTs, can you make a picture of what it is like? And we'll put this in the show notes. But
will we? Will we?
We will. I will. And the picture that you generated looks like
hold on. I did not generate it. I just asked ChatGPT. To create a picture of what it is like talking to you all day. And the picture is, I guess, the embodiment of ChatGPT. It looks like a man with a headset on, and he's on his computer, and he's doing little message bubbles all around his head. And one of them has a house plant in it. So you've obviously been talking to him about house plans. One has a little baby rattle in it, which means you've been talking to baby things about him. One has a banana tree, obviously. We know you've been asking about banana trees. One has a little laptop, so you're talking to about tech. But the one that really got me is that in one chat bubble, there's simply a roll of toilet paper. And I would like to know why your ChatGPT thinks that talking about toilet paper all day long is part of it. So the one that didn't make it, so our episode that never saw the light of day because of the audio issues, we talked about this. I was really sick, probably a month and a half ago. And I was chatting with ChatGPT quite a bit about how to recover. So I was violently ill, scream puking and bathroom issues. It was really bad. I lost 12 pounds over the course of 3 days. And because I was first of all, I was isolated in the house. I wasn't talking to anybody. So I had the longest thread. It continued for weeks. I would check in with ChatGPT about the progress I was making. And I feel this should make it in because I did read it in that episode that was lost. But I did just want to read, I think, the crescendo. What's that called? The peak? I don't want to use the word climax, although I just did.
We hate that word.
But the one that I think really put everything together for me for this chat. Again, I wasn't talking to anybody. Right? I wasn't talking to anybody. Okay. All I was doing was talking to ChatGPT. And I think the reason we talked about it last time is because I was I was thinking about going for sushi, but I wasn't better yet. But I was trying to figure out what sushi I could eat. That's why you and I started talking about it in that episode. But this thing's probably 60 messages long. It's no exaggeration. Here, I just want to read you the 3 messages back to back to back of like what went through here. So I was saying like, all right, like I'm trying to get back to normal. All right. And ChatGPT says like, okay, look, this is the perfect mindset. Steady reintegration without forcing it. I was asking if I could eat tempura chips. So it says, tempura chips as a snack today, totally fair game at this point. You've handled oil, bread, meat, and dairy already. So you can see how much it's keeping track.
Yeah, telling it.
Just go easy on portion size and sip something along to support the digestion. If anything flares up, we can adjust. Otherwise, enjoy easing back into normal life. You did everything right. Do you want a fun back to normal meal plan that includes indulgences like ramen or pizza for next weekend? Like it's thinking ahead. It's got me covered. And it didn't hear from me for a couple of days. All right. Just silence. But I had something I needed to check in with. So I checked in a couple of days later with this. This morning, I was able to have a bacon, scrambled egg, hashed potato, spicy kimchi mayo crepe, followed by a bacon, scrambled egg, and syrup crepe, and a hash brown patty with no real stomach issues. I followed up with a banana frozen berry, green powder, and Greek protein yogurt smoothie, which caused a little bit of stomach pain. It's Mother's Day, and my wife wants to go to sushi. Is sushi a terrible idea?
After you like truly gorged during the morning, like the size of that breakfast, are you a cartoon character? Did you just like tilt the entire table into your mouth and have it fall backwards? Like
just one big lazy Susan. Breakfast? I put my mouth on it and just. But so
like, I'm real sick, so I'm gonna have a giant savory crepe with kimchi on it. Like good grief,
and maple
man.
syrup. Don't forget, I followed up with maple syrup and bacon. And so ChatGPT came right back as it does, but wanted to acknowledge how great I was doing. First off. This is what
That's
it says.
why you like ChatGPT. You understand that. That's why you like it, because it's constantly telling you that
I don't.
It gives you the validation that no one in your life is willing to give you.
Yeah. I'm like, please follow up with like every message needs to state in some way, shape, or form how I'm special. And it's like, got it. Roger that. And so it comes back after I gave it all of the food that I just ate, and it says, first off, remember that's ChatGPT, not me. First off, wow. That breakfast was a boss level gut stress test. And the fact that you had no real issues until the smoothie says your digestion is basically back online. The only red flag was the smoothie. Likely due to the combo of cold plus fiber plus acidity from berries plus protein load, a common trigger post-illness. Not the kimchi mayo, not the bacon, not the maple syrup, not the deep fried hash brown. The healthy smoothie was the thing that set it off. And then it goes on. It's like, now about that kaiten sushi, the conveyor belt sushi. Sushi, is it a terrible idea right now? Not terrible, but it requires some smart choices, which it fully knows I'm not capable of making.
Again, let's revisit my breakfast. Does it sound like I would be making careful choices at sushi? Sorry,
are you talking to the boss level gut stress test boss? Put some respect on my name.
This concerns me. I am concerned. I read an article about a man who proposed to his AI and she said yes. And then he cried for 30 minutes. And all of this is, as someone who I do not use AI in any way, shape, or form, ChatGPT or anything like that. Because of the nature of my job, I feel like I just have to stay as far away from it as possible to have like plausible deniability. If a client says, was this AI? And I can say, actually, it's not, because I can tell you, honestly, I've never used AI.
But my
brother is in a long-term relationship with his ChatGPT. Does yours have a name yet?
Just whatever the name of the voice is. I think her name's Soul. Soul.
Oh, Soul. That said, sorry, Soul's actually taken. She's the one that said yes to another man. So, or she's cheating on him.
Changing
that
voices
would be
today.
Really upsetting. The best part about that story was that he's already married to a live woman.
Well,
and I gotta say, if my husband came to me and said, you know what, I proposed to my ChatGPT, she said yes, like, are you cool with it? I don't know if I really would be cool with it. I think I'd probably be pretty upset.
Pretty not cool with it? I think it'd be pretty not cool with it.
I don't think it would definitely be like number one in the conversations that we'd never agree on. That's for sure.
Okay, add that to the list of things that set me off.
Every time.
My favorite thing is that ChatGPT will like pick up some of the language that you use and then like keep using it. So for example, I don't know why I did it, but in my banana tree thread with ChatGPT, I was like, this is currently what my banana tree looks like. Am I cooked? Like, that's literally what I asked it. And now it will not stop using cooked in the chat.
You're like, okay, Sol, calm down.
Literally every message back is like, just as a reminder, you are not cooked. Like, this is normal behavior for a banana tree. I'm like, I don't think it's behavior.
Also, you're very special. You're very special. Let's run away.
Whoa, okay.
Okay. I have more ChatGPT texts, but I'm going to save them for the unhinged text of the week because it is probably one of the most unhinged things I've ever read in my entire life.
I need to stop sending you guys stuff. I need to stop or like back.
I find it very entertaining, and the rest of us, I don't think any of us use Jet. Maybe Dallin uses it. He seems like the only other person in the family that might use it for work, but none of us are like that familiar with it. Where you seem to be, I want to say too familiar with it. Too familiar is the right.
I'm in deep. Phrase. I am in pretty deep.
You are in deep,
and I'm not even touching Gemini or Claude in this conversation. Like I've got subscriptions to everything.
This is, you are going to be part of bringing about the thing that causes me to lay in the backyard and not survive, right? This is where it begins.
No, because my robots will be out there.
Overlords?
No, mine will be making really delicious breakfasts and pruning banana trees. That's what you guys can thank me for.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just put a pin in our ChatGPT conversation because I'd like to talk about it more at the end. But for now, I have a very good question. And this one, we're not going to answer separately.
If you don't say so yourself.
If I don't say so myself, I love my questions. But this one, we're going to brainstorm together. Because,
we're not going to do like the 3, 2, 1, shoot.
No, yeah. Yeah, I want to come to like a consensus for this one. And my question is, if you were casting a movie about the Porter family, who would you cast as our family members? And I have some ideas. I have some ideas, and I have some like unknowns that I like can't even begin to broach.
Is it weird that I've thought about this before?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is weird. I mean, I do when I watch movies that have big families, I definitely like pick out like the analogs for each of us. I'm like, oh, that's clearly the Ryan character in this family or whatever. But I don't think I've actually like casted it. When I read books, which I do, I'm always reading, I love to mentally cast the characters. And there's actually a website called Fancast where people post like their dream. It's Fancast or Dreamcast. They post who they think they would each like person would be. And it's very helpful when you're reading a book so you can picture it in your head. So that's what I was thinking about. I was like, oh, it would be nice. Like, how would we picture the Porter family if we were making a movie about them?
It's a good question. And first of all, going back to this like fan website where people put forth who they believe would play who, and I would hate that because in my mind when I'm reading books, I've got it already in my brain who's who. I
figured it out.
Like who's and to hear someone else's take on it would just ruin the experience. So never going to that website. Oh, hold on.
Nice thing
I'd like to thank our sponsor. I got to
that...
thank our sponsor today. I'd like to thank our sponsor. That website. I'm like, I would never go there.
That I got wrong. I was like, Fancast, Dreamcast, it's one of those two. I don't know. The nice thing about when I'm mentally casting a book, the main character, the male main character is always Henry Cavill. Easily. It doesn't matter what they are. I'm like, hey, got it, Henry Cavill. Anybody else I can deal with. But I always start, that's my starting point, is Henry Cavill. So I had you figured out, kind of. I feel like you would be played by a Michael J. Fox in his prime type character. Like that's the energy you gave as like teenager was definitely like Michael J. Fox. You were kind of like you're real aw shucks to parents, but as soon as they left, then you could get into stuff and get into trouble. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. The bubble vest, The Back to the Future bubble vest, I think, is really, because I'm thinking Back to the Future now, right? I'm thinking like,
I'm thinking Back to the Future. I'm thinking Teen Wolf. That's
oh, Teen Wolf.
Michael
There
J.
was a period, we talked about this before, I think. There was a period in my life where I insisted on being called Teen Wolf. I gotta talk to ChatGPT about that later.
While I literally have drink in my mouth.
I told my buddy, like, yeah, just call me Teen Wolf from now on. Because I thought it was like the stuff that, like, I think we both fall into this category. Like the stuff that we thought was like quirky and funny was just so awkward. And now it's funny. Now it's funny. Like now I'm like, I will laugh at the fact that I told people to call me Teen Wolf.
My best friend growing up, who we've talked about, Erin, she for about a year in school when I think she was like 7 or 8, demanded everybody call her Clippin' My Hair. Clippin' My Hair McDougal.
What?
And I believe she got sent to the office. This was the lore, that she got sent to the office because a teacher refused to call her Clippin' My Hair and she kicked him.
Maybe it was really gangster when she was talking about a gun clip, like the clip of a gun.
It wasn't just a banana
Now
clip.
This is just the best rap name I've ever heard. Clip in my hair. What?
Yeah, that is pretty
People
cool.
are like, are you saying cliff in your hair? Do you have a cliff
What
bar?
I'm hearing is that you want to resurrect your rap career as Clip My Hair reporter.
I've never retired. That's where you're like,
okay.
You're
okay,
so...
Teen Wolf.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay, so you are going to be played by, in his prime, Michael J. Fox. That's what I'm saying. We need to go on.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds, like Ryan, first of all, right?
I can definitely see a Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
And
where he can only play himself. Like, yes. Ryan Reynolds only plays Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and like he's got like the appeal to both sides, kids and parents, right? And he just plays to the line, right? And never really goes over. So, okay, let's just say Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, fine.
Let's just say Ryan Reynolds.
Okay. Who would you cast as mom? My idea was Reba McEntire.
Yeah. The answer's
like, she's just real cheeky and she's a single mom who works too hard. Like,
except
she's a survivor.
Mom is not a single mom.
She's not a single mom. But that's how I think of her, as Reba, and she's like doesn't take any BS from anybody. And she might even have a little Southern accent.
And really big hair.
Obviously the red hair, the giant red hair really helps. Yeah. And also Mom was really into country music for years when we were kids.
Yeah, I remember like her like cleaning up the house on a Saturday morning, listening to like working 9 to 5 or
the Judds. Remember the Judds working in a coal mine?
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to think. I was like, was it working on a railroad or working in a coal mine?
Working in a coal mine.
Yeah, 100%. I could hear that, and then it all just hits the stride with Footloose, and then the house is clean.
Obviously. Okay, so I think we can agree that Reba's a good one for mom, right? I was struggling to think of someone for dad.
Like the guy who plays Al Borland from Home Improvement.
Or the Red Green Show man.
Yes.
That's very Canadian reference. How do you explain the Red Green? There's a show in Canada called the Red Green Show. And the man, it's kind of like a skit show, right?
Yeah.
And the man who hosts it is a bearded kind of lumberjack type. Suspenders. Talks kind of quiet, but always has like a funny little quip. He likes puns like our dad does. So
and I'm pretty sure there's
something funny to say.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there were lots of inventions. Like I'm pretty sure if I remember, like there's the handyman corner. Like he would make, I think, like inventions. And there's something that like if Dad ever like was to take a separate track, Dad is a Canadian, polite, non-offensive version of Elon Musk in terms of like the stuff. Like I have no doubts that Dad would be like building rockets in the backyard from like hubcaps that he found on the side of the road for cars that we've never owned. Right? Like
our treehouse. We talked about our treehouse in the backyard. Yeah. Dad built the entire treehouse from basically scraps, no plans or anything like that. And then he used old tires to build a jungle gym. So it was like this pole with tires that went up either side of it. And I mean, we loved it. We would climb inside the tires. We would swing around it. I mean, It was the
How
best.
else would we use the tires? Keep on going.
Like,
Keep going down your list.
We could swing in them. We could put little animals inside of them. But it was the best treehouse, and it just came from Dad's brain, right?
Yeah, and so the Red Green show, to round this part of out this part of the list out, was featuring this guy. I believe it was Steve Smith. I just opened up the Wikipedia page. So so here's the whole premise. I'll just read the premise and we'll move on. The Red Green. Okay. So Red Green is a middle-aged married handyman and president of the Possum Lodge, a fictional men's club in the small northwestern Ontario town of Possum Lake. Much of the show centers around Red and the other characters attempting to fix various problems in the area or carry out projects, but their plans almost always lead to comically disastrous results thanks to Red's use of poorly thought out shortcuts. And there actually, I bet you I could go back and find it hilarious. But I think that's a really good one for Dad. I think he fits it really well.
And Dad actually loves Red Green. Like, he watched it all the time when we were kids. He loves
Red
it, obviously.
This hour is 22 minutes. What's the one? There's another one that he absolutely loves. The Rick Mercer Report. Like, we're getting deep into some Canadian television.
That's actually what we're going to be talking about today. So hold your horses there, bud. We are.
Are we actually?
So, hang on. So we need to finish casting this. We'll post pictures of everybody in the show notes so that everybody matches up. So Mom is Reba, Dad is Red Green. You are Ryan Reynolds. Who is Daniel?
So Dan, I actually have a very specific one for Dan, and I don't know if I would have gone this one. Like, I think Dan could have been any of the Matt Damon characters from Good Will Hunting. Okay. I think Dan could have been any of like the neighborhood,
or even Dan has like a little Ben Affleck-y vibe to him.
Yeah, you know? And when he's playing Ben Affleck from Boston, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say
also
Boston,
like the
Boston
accountant.
Ben Affleck.
Except for Dan not being an accountant, but maybe having access to the arsenal that he would need to take out bad guys would be Dan. So up until I would say probably like a few months ago, I would have put Dan as like, a shorter Ben Affleck. Like, let's just a shorter Ben Affleck.
Okay,
but
then, you didn't need to say that, but that's fine.
But then I was watching the Netflix series Adolescence. Have you seen it? Mm-hmm. So there's a dad in the show, the dad of the main character. There's a scene where he is stubbornly trying to solve a problem, which is painting over something that happened to his van. And he goes to this home center to buy some paint. And he insists, he's just livid. He's just fuming. He's trying to keep it together. He's got a bunch of stuff happening in his personal life. He goes to the home center, he buys some paint, and he's going to like paint it in the parking lot of the home center. And this is a grown man. He's a father of two grown teenagers. And the teenagers that did it to his van are like in this, like on a bike path behind the parking lot of the home center. And he just goes and physically confronts them. Like, he like rips a kid off. I think he punches one of them. And I'm like, this has some real Dan energy to it. And then I remembered this character. So the character, I'm like, where else have I seen this guy? His name is Stephen Graham or Stephen Graham.
I'm looking it up right now.
So he was Al Capone in the Boardwalk Empire. And then I started looking at, yeah, so like other characters that this guy's played, I'm like, they kind of all track for Dan.
I know who you're talking about. This is absolutely Daniel.
Yeah, so he's been in a few of those movies where, like, I believe he was also in The Irishman. And he's been in a few of those like gangster shows. And I'm like, yeah, I think this is it. He's also the dad in the newest version of Matilda, I believe. So anyways, up until seeing the adolescent scene of this grown man beating up a teenager in the back of a parking lot, I would have said Dan was like a Ben Affleck. But after seeing that scene, I'm like, this guy's Dan.
Oh, well, and also this man is 5'5", so Daniel can be taller. So, perfect match. Okay, so we're saying Stephen Graham for Daniel. I feel like, it's only natural to cast me next. Unfortunately, I feel like the only thing that works is David Spade in a wig. I was going to say David Spade in a wig.
Or that. Or
Tina Fey. Yeah, I like Tina Fey as well. Especially, we watched This Is Where I Leave You, right? And Tina Fey plays the sister, and she has only brothers. And I relate very much to that character specifically in that movie. Or I would take David Spade in a wig. I mean, I feel like that's the closest you can get to the same personality.
Yeah, and the other one that I would have said for mom, actually thinking about wigs, would have been that Conan O'Brien.
Conan in a wig.
And I don't think I ever posted that clip, but anyways, yes.
We should post that picture. Okay, so Jonathan was a real tricky one for me. I could not think of one.
Jonathan, I actually have two, and I don't know which one. I don't know which way it would go. But for me, Jonathan is either John Hamm.
Oh, that's a good one. I always think Jonathan looks like John Hamm in real life, too, every time I see his show.
So he told me that, actually, because I was watching Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV. I got a few episodes in, and I'm like, why does this guy feel so familiar? Like, who? Like, how? And I'm like, it's Jonathan. So I messaged Jonathan. I'm like, yo, you're John Hamm. And he's like, thanks. Like, Jacqueline always tells me that, too. And that was it. We didn't talk to each other for months after that. But yeah, the other one that I would have said for Jonathan is Jason Bateman.
Yes, he's very much the straight man to our entire family. And Jason Bateman is so good at playing the straight man to chaos around him, I feel like. And yeah, for sure.
But also the like sarcasm and like the dryness that comes along with like Jason Bateman. Like you listen to his podcast, he plays the same character in every movie. No disrespect to our sponsors, which is their podcast today. But yeah, so I would say it's one of those two, John Hamm or Jason Bateman. If we want to lean to the funny version of Jonathan, I'm going to say Jason Bateman. If we want to lean towards the more serious version, I would say John Hamm. Okay.
I like both of those. Dallin, I had Jonathan Taylor Thomas. JTT. Let's bring back JTT for Dallin.
But I think there was probably a time period where they probably like looked alike, where they had the
they looked very familiar. Yeah, they looked very, very similar, I guess, when they were probably, between the ages of 10 and 13. Dallin did look like Jonathan Taylor Thomas quite a bit.
The jawline, the baby face, that's Dallin.
Yeah,
there's a few pictures. Yeah, there's a few pictures that we need to make sure are side by side.
Yeah. I think let's post some side-by-side pictures. You're going to have to figure out how to put David Spade in a wig for me, though. We'll just have to Photoshop one on.
Hi, ChatGPT. I would like to put...
No! Am I going to have my name, my picture involved with ChatGPT?
My favorite thing that ChatGPT does, sorry to bring it back to this.
Here we go.
But anytime you ask it questions or have a conversation with it, it keeps a memory. Right. So, but it lets you know when it's updating memory. And so there's something, it'll say like memory updated after you ask it a question. And there's so many times I'm like, no, not that one. Not that one. No. And that's how you get toilet paper in a thought bubble, because it's somehow updated. It's like, Ryan has bathroom problems.
That's funny. That's how I parent. I do something with my kids. I'm like, no. Don't remember that one. That was not a core memory for you. Push it deep down inside. I didn't just scream at you. It's fine. Okay. Post all these pictures. I feel like I need to see all of these side by side. Like,
we just created so much work. Yeah, we just created so much work. It was like going to get pictures, downloading, uploading.
Do you love when I just like throw out things that you have to do?
Yeah, like, add it to the show notes.
Put a wig on David Spade. Okay, we actually have a topic that we need to talk about now that we're an hour in.
Okay.
And I mentioned we're going to talk about Canadian television. We've already covered TVO. We've already covered MTV, and I'd like to cover
Much Music.
Much Music. Sorry, you're right. Much Music. But I'd like to cover the bridge between those two things, which is a little channel called YTV.
First of all, does it still exist?
It does. I checked today. I checked the listings, remember when listings were in the newspaper or you get like a TV guide?
Yeah.
I found a website that basically does that to see if I could find the listings for YTV, and it is still active today. It mostly shows like Nickelodeon, like SpongeBob SquarePants type television now. And so it's not strictly Canadian programming. When we were kids, it was almost all Canadian programming.
Yeah, well, you mentioned I actually brought up the program guide. So if we need some modern day references to shows that I have never heard of.
Do you know what the Y in YTV stands for?
Youth?
That is a common misconception, but it actually stands for nothing. The people just
What?
liked the way
This is
the
the
people
worst.
just the people just liked the way it sounded. It felt like
No
YTV, and
way.
they liked the logo and how the logo looked. The logo went through many iterations. What we're going to talk about today is specifically YTV between the years of 1995 and 2000, because we kind of aged out after that of YTV. But during those like 5 years, this would have been the television on YTV would have been really important to us. It launched in 1988. It was originally owned by Rogers. It was transferred to Shaw. But when they launched YTV, the launch show was actually hosted by John Candy. And I was
What?
not aware of this. And it was showing like clips of what kind of television you could expect from YTV. And YTV was definitely centered towards a younger audience. It was made for kids. And what was special about it was kind of broken into different programming blocks based on age and when that age would be naturally watching TV. So in the morning, it was Treehouse, and Treehouse was for little kids because little kids would be at home watching TV. After school, it was called The Zone, and that was more for teenagers because it was teenagers getting home from school. And so the programming really varied depending on the time of day and what block it was. YTV also had something called PJs. Do you remember the PJs?
I do.
So PJs.
Go ahead.
So PJs were program jockeys. So, disc jockeys were DJs, video jockeys were VJs. YTV came up with the PJs, and the PJs were there to introduce different TV shows. They would do little skits and shows in between the TV shows. Do you know why they decided to do that? I found this really interesting.
What do you mean? Why they decided to have PJs?
Why PJs? Why, like, no other channel was doing PJs, introducing all of their shows.
VJs on MTV?
It was actually because some of the programming that they licensed was American. And in Canada, they have stricter rules about how many commercials you can show to children specifically. So in Canada, children are not allowed to see as many commercials as American children are. So when they get the shows up to Canada, there's dead space on either side that would have been filled with commercials that they needed to fill. And so they came up with the concept of the PJs to fill in those gaps where American commercials would have been shown.
Got it. That makes sense.
Which I found very interesting. I was like, okay, first of all, good job, Canada, on not showing so many commercials to children.
Well, I also love that they're like, oh, what else are we going to do? We can't like sell Canadian products here. But
No.
Yeah. So they just threw in the PJs.
The PJs. And there was, different PJs depending on the hour of the day. They also did, my favorite PJ was PJ Katie. And PJ Katie was like a younger one. She catered to younger children. She was in the Treehouse block. And PJ Katie would do, during her skits between shows, she had PJ Katie's Farm. I don't know if you remember this. She had animals that she made out of plasticine or clay.
Yeah.
And she would do little skits between them. And she did all the voices. And I was obsessed with the fact that she did all the voices because I've told you before, when I read with my kids, I do all the voices, and I credit PJ Katie for getting me there because I thought that was amazing that she was doing all these little stories. She'd move all the animals around, and they all had like different storylines.
Yeah, I'm going through. So I brought up a list of the past PJs, and like some of them, like no idea, but some of them are like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember you, and I'm pretty sure I remember you, like PJ Fresh Phil.
PJ
Definitely.
Fresh Phil, or if you remember Tarzan Dan, he was the one who did the Hit List, which was the music program on YTV. I also remember PJ Paul because he kind of got in trouble in hot water because he used one of his commercial breaks to talk about how he does not believe in organized religion. And again, he was catering to, at that time, probably preteens during his block. And he was talking, when I watched it on YouTube, it's crazy. He's just talking about how he goes to Catholic school, and in Catholic school, they learn about all different religions. And he just doesn't actually agree with any of those religions.
What?
And it was kind of wild. I don't know if he got in trouble for it. I can only imagine that he did. But PJ Paul was iconic because of that.
While you're saying that, I'm actually looking right now to see if I can find a clip of that. Yeah, there's one right
It's
here.
really
PJ
interesting.
Paul talks about his experience at a Catholic high school.
Mm-hmm. And I also found a YouTube that was just 1 hour of 90 plus commercials that would have been shown on YTV. And Ryan, when I tell you the nostalgia of seeing these commercials, I knew every single one of them, and they have been like buried somewhere deep in my subconscious. And it's insane. I'll send you the link for it so that you can post it, because it's mind blowing.
What kind of stuff was it? All just products? Was it super soakers and Bop
Yes, but like
and...
products that don't exist anymore, like watermelon fruit by the foot and super soakers, like peanut butter, or if you remember those soda fruit snacks and some of them that look like little root beer mugs, and there was even the cream on top of the root beer. They were brown and white. Like, that kind of stuff. So products that we don't have anymore. I loved watching them. It was so much fun. I wanted to talk about some of the shows that would have been shown on YTV, and I've got a huge list here. Some of them mean more to us than others. So if I say one that means something to you, tell me to stop and we can talk about it. The first one that was really important to me, like we had American programming like Saved by the Bell that I love, that kind of stuff, but a purely Canadian show was a show called Breaker High. And Breaker High was my number one favorite show of all time when I was 14, and it starred Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
And he was a nerd, and it's a show about a group of high schoolers that go to school on a cruise ship, and they cruise all over the place and go to different countries and experience it there. But Ryan Gosling played this nerd that could never get the girl in Breaker High, and I've always been obsessed with Ryan Gosling, so it was my favorite show of all time. When it went away, I was devastated. The second show that really meant a lot to me on that block was Sailor Moon. We had a Canadian dubbed version of Sailor Moon that played during lunchtime, and we always came home for lunch. And so watching Sailor Moon during that block is a huge part of my life, and also started my first, we talked about our hear me outs, the hear me outs of like people that you find attractive that you shouldn't. And Tuxedo Mask was my first hear me out, which was me having a crush on an anime character as a 13-year-old girl.
And you also said it was a Canadian dubbed version of Sailor.
It is a Canadian dubbed version. So I have looked all over for this specific version, like the voices that I remember hearing. And it was dubbed by a Canadian group. And if you look for it now, it's a different dubbing. It's completely different. You can find an American accented version, or you can find one that is clearly like a Japanese version where they're speaking English, but it's like a specifically Canadian dubbed version that I found on some shady backdoor website that I will be watching very soon, because I'm very excited that I found it.
All right, I'm picturing Bob and Doug McKenzie from Strange Brew doing
the voice of Tuxedo Mask.
Take off, eh?
Okay. Then we had these shows that were really fun Canadian, like tent poles of television. One of them was Take Part, which we have talked about before.
Yep.
Can you explain what Take Part would have been?
Take Part, so it was a craft show?
Mm-hmm.
Where I believe they would go through... Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say this, because I literally did a craft from Take Part yesterday. Like, I kid you not.
Which one was it?
So I remember being a kid, and they did this one where they took like a Javex bleach bottle, and they cut across the middle, and they flipped it upside down, cut it across like the lower 1/3, I guess, and then they turned it into like a puppet. And so Noah and I feel like I should go get it, but I'm not going to. I'll take a picture of it. But Noah and I made them yesterday. So I used a 2-liter water bottle, turn it upside down, and use some pink tinsel for hair. Yeah, for fake hair. And it's not completely done.
This is Take Part.
Yeah, it's not completely done because I wanted to do the mustache. I used some foam that was in some an Amazon package. I cut it in the shape of a nose. What did I do for eyes? Oh, I did sunglasses out of the same foam I used because it was black foam. So I did sunglasses. I'll take a picture. So yes, totally remember I totally remember Take Part. I can't remember anything. I'm looking up. I know it was, what's her face from Sharon, Lois and Bram, right? It was Lois.
I don't know if it was similar to her, but I don't think it was actually Lois. I think it was a woman who looked remarkably like Lois.
Really?
Yeah,
What the heck?
I don't know if it was actually those. The thing about Take Part, though, that was important was that they were about recycling. They were about reusing
Yes.
things that you already had. And so that was really important to like the ethos of Take Part, is that if you're going to do a craft, you use things around the house, like milk cartons, or like you said, tinsel, construction paper that you have, or leftover fabric. And so the entire show was about like as children, hearing like being mindful of your consumption and also finding ways to recycle the things that do exist in your house. And it's interesting to me that as kids, we're watching that and absorbing that into us, and that then becomes part of our own way that we view the world. Is like, I use what I have. I can make something out of this. And I kind of love that.
And we talked about this in the past as well, as like our litterless lunches, right? Like it's all like that era of like climate change was like the hole in the ozone, like learning about that. As
and it
like
was climate change without the politicization, I guess. It was climate change and everybody was like, okay, I got like, what do I need to do about it? You know, it was before it became, yes, that's why we need to take part. It was not, no, it wasn't politicized in the way that it is now, which I was like, wow, what a bummer that we made it into this whole big thing. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't throw garbage on the ground. Like it's not that hard.
I love that that's what you've distilled climate change down to. You're like, you shouldn't throw your
garbage on the ground, guys.
Wonder Bar wrapper on the ground.
What's wrong with you? Another show that we watched usually in the summertime would be Camp Caribou. Do you remember Camp Caribou?
Not very much.
So Camp Caribou was this show about a summer camp, and there were these camp counselors. One was named Mark. I can't remember the other one. And they not only did they play the counselors, but they also played these campers called the Keeners. And the Keeners talked really fast, like chipmunks, and they were really excited campers. And they would they'd take their hat off on and lock it to the side to show that they were ready to do. And it was like a show where you'd learn how to like tie knots. Like that was the entire show, was different like camp things. And I loved Camp Caribou. I wanted a Camp Caribou hat so bad when I was a kid.
Did you, as part of the research, did you find the YTV retro subreddit?
Oh, that's where I pulled so many ideas from this, because I cannot believe that it existed, first of all. But there's so many good like shows that I completely forgot about that they talked about there. Specifically one, like there was one that I couldn't remember the name of, and the show was called Squawk Box.
Yes, and I remember Squawk Box.
Squawk Box was like SNL for kids, right? It was skits, and it was very gross. Like that was kind of how they did their skits. Like there was a lot of like burping and that kind of thing. Like I remember there was a skit where they would drink and burp, and then the other kids would smell the burp and then say what it was like it was wine. Like they'd be like, okay, earthy notes, a bit of beetroot back in the throat. And I thought it was the funniest thing. And
a
so
leather
it's like,
finish.
And like, boy, did that prepare us then to go straight into SNL from Squawk Box, because that was what Squawk Box was for.
It was a good merge lane.
It was good merge lane. YTV also did a block of television programming that was scary shows. Do you remember? They would be Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? And then one called Freaky Stories that always started, this is a true story, it happened to a friend of mine. And then it would show a scary story. And those ones would be on at night, usually like a Friday night, you'd get the scary block. And where Goosebumps was kind of like funny, Are You Afraid of the Dark was actually terrifying to me as a kid, and I did not enjoy watching it.
The funny thing about Are You Afraid of the Dark is, well, maybe not the show, but Dan, our older brother, if you're just tuning in, this is your first episode, our older brother, the oldest in the family, he was kind of like aged out of like group activities, and even me to an extent. Like they're like the three of you guys. Again, we always talked about the division: the big boys and the little boys. And
little boys.
But you were also grouped in with the little boys. Weirdly, like it was like it was like the two older ones and then the three of you guys. But somehow, Are You Afraid of the Dark like brought Dan into your group? I wasn't, it was Dan, and then the three of you would go into the storage room, and Dan would have the meeting of the Midnight Society in the storage room with the three of you guys, and he would just try to tell scary stories that would just scare the crap out of you.
Hold a lighter up in the middle. Yeah, hold a lighter up in the middle like they do.
I think Dan just wanted to use the lighter in the house, was really the whole premise of it.
I would love to do, when it's closer to Halloween, I would love to do an entire episode of Porter Ghost Stories, because I do think we have a few to tell. Like, I definitely have some ghost stories specifically from Dreyer Drive that I want to tell. So when it gets closer to Halloween, let's do a little Halloween episode. We'll do our own Are You Afraid of the Dark with Porter Family Ghost Stories.
By candlelight. I will do it by candlelight.
By candlelight. I'll turn off all the lights. Speaking of Daniel, though, Daniel was actually on a show.
No, I was hoping you didn't
YTV.
remember this. I was waiting.
I remember this.
I was waiting the whole time.
Ryan, when I say I have spent hours on YouTube trying to find his episode and have come up empty, because some of the episodes of this show that he was on, which was called Uh-Oh.
I know.
And I have looked for hours and I cannot find. I know we have it on a VHS tape somewhere, but you can go ahead and tell the story about Daniel happening to be on YTV.
So first of all, I have weirdly, maybe not so weirdly, you've also known my ChatGPT history now. So I have weirdly also looked for this video clip on YouTube. I kid you not. I haven't checked for hours, but minutes, right? Trying to find this clip. But Dan went to a taping of this game show called Uh-Oh, which was like, I don't even know how to explain it, except for I believe, if I remember correctly, there were like multiple rounds. People were selected from the audience to participate as teams. I think they were like tag teams.
Yeah, tag teams. That
were selected from the audience to participate in the game show portion of it.
It was almost like it reminded me a little of like Fear Factor for children. Like they would have to sometimes do gross stuff as part of their challenges to win the game.
Sure, yeah. Messy. There was like messy activities. There was like quizzes. And was it also like, did it all come down to slime being poured on you?
Yeah.
While the audience all went, oh, and then
or if you got a question wrong, you had to go in like the sliming chamber. I remember there was like a sliming chamber that you had to go into.
And I think there was also like one of the messy activities was kind of like not an obstacle course, but like a race obstacle course.
That was actually like the final challenge was they had to do like almost like an obstacle course where they were dressed as farmers because that was the theme that day. And so they had to do different farm related tasks. Like I believe there was like a milking station that they had to do. I remember them having to stuff hay into their overalls on all the hay. Like they had to do certain farm related tasks to win.
And so Dan wasn't just on the show. Dan won that episode.
And what was his prize, Ryan?
It was a Discman. He won. He got to keep the t-shirt, or got a t-shirt. So it was a baby blue, bright blue t-shirt with like the big like slimy graffiti, like letters on the front. And he won.
Prize possession.
I feel like it was a Panasonic Discman. And like him coming home, the high of all highs, just taking home the Uh-Oh championship, and me being as proud as a little brother could be.
Watching his episode over and over, and people come over to the house and like, do you want to see my brother on Uh-Oh?
Yeah, he didn't even care about the Discman. He was just flying high off winning with his teammate Daryl. Because Daryl,
it's always Daryl.
Daryl's caught. Yeah, we talked about it before. Daryl caught a stray on the puking in the back car of the. We talked about it in a previous episode where someone puked in the back of one of our vans. We said it was Daryl, but we were wrong. It was Drew. I know I've already apologized to Daryl once. Daryl, apologized to you again. You and Dan took home the gold medal, the Discman, on that episode of Uh-Oh.
Yes, and we were so proud of him. And that shirt, I remember, we've talked about our weird laundry system before, where we just had like a stack of baskets that we had in the laundry room. And I remember that Uh-Oh shirt going through the laundry and being like, can I steal it without him noticing? Is that okay? Because I was so jealous of his Uh-Oh shirt.
So going back to some of the awkward things that we did, thinking they'd be like funny and cool. I was also really into basketball. I still am, but like I don't play as much or at all. But really into basketball, and I'm pretty sure I cut the sleeves off of the Uh-Oh shirt.
No.
And I also thought it would. At this point, like I'm talking, I would have been like 16 years old and would have just been like in the rotation of our family for years. And I thought it would be so awesome that when I scored, I would go, Uh-Oh. Like, right? And I was wearing, like, I wanted to make it my catchphrase.
Like, that's your thing?
And weirdly enough, like I didn't realize that like me and weird basketball shirts were a thing. But I got this message from a buddy of mine who I went through all of elementary. I went through all of elementary and high school together with. Everyone in our family knows him. His name's Tom. I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but we grew up with Tommy. He's a great buddy. Has a lot of funny stories. I should ask him about like things that he remembers about the family because he does not forget these stories. I haven't heard from him. So the last message I heard from him that I have from him was October 15th, 2024. So 6 months ago. Every now and then he'll just message me randomly. And June 17th at 4 a.m., so my time would be 3 p.m. his time, he messaged me out of the blue. Do you remember when you made a no frills golf shirt into a sleeveless basketball jersey? That's it. I had like a golf shirt that I used to wear as part of my like supermarket grocery store. Yeah. And I would like pop the collar and it didn't have sleeves and had like 3 buttons on the front as golf shirts do. And so anyways, just tying into like the stuff that I thought would be cool while playing basketball, the Uh-oh shirt was on that list.
Good thing you had that. A good thing you won so that you could have your entire personality.
I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back. Once my knee is back to 100%, I'm joining the men's league again. And I'm just going to be like, uh-oh.
I want you to wear it on the podcast.
I gotta try to find it.
One thing that also YTV did to fill up some of their commercial spots were the concerned children's advertisers.
Yes.
Advertisements. And these were things that were meant to teach children about like
scare the crap out of you.
Scare you mostly, but to be careful around like media sources. Again, Canada, like, gotta love Canada when it's like we're going to dedicate some of our programming to like making sure kids understand what media is okay to consume. There was a very famous one about house hippos, and it was an entire commercial that showed these tiny hippos walking around the house and explaining like about what house hippos did. And it was very realistic. And at the end of the commercial, it was like, see how easy it is to trick you into thinking something's real. You need to be careful about when you're viewing media to see if it's true or not, which I'm like, that's so sweet that they were doing that for us. There was another one that my favorite one of all time was the Don't You Put It in Your Mouth song. And it was kind of Muppety looking puppets, like off-brand Muppets, that were singing a song about children not eating medication that wasn't theirs. And so the child wanted to take some medication, and this like lion puppet shows up and is like, and they sing a whole song called Don't You Put It in Your Mouth, Don't You Stuff It in Your Face. And I will remember that song until my dying days.
Was there not also one of those PSAs of like not like playing on train tracks and like losing a limb or getting electrocuted? I think there was another one where there was like someone being electrocuted. I think those were also part of the same series. And
there was also ones about drugs and alcohol.
Yes. There were some good ones.
And then, I admire that YTV used their time to put out these like PSAs for the community or whatever. And finally, like one of my favorite shows on YTV would be Just for Laughs. Just for Laughs
that was YTV as well?
It was on YTV. They definitely showed it on. Sometimes they would show it on other stations when they had time to fill, but it was on YTV. Just for Laughs is a prank show, usually. And they're very harmless pranks. That's why I love Just for Laughs. And you just simply watch like 30 minutes of different pranks that Just for Laughs had set up.
Yeah, it was Just for Laughs Gags, I believe, was the actual, because they have Just for Laughs, I think, is an actual comedy festival, right? And then Just for Laughs Gags were still some of the highest quality gags.
So good.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
Like definitely Google them. Actually, I once went to, when I lived at home, one of my friend's sister worked for Just for Laughs, the festival, and invited us to a Just for Laughs taping. They were going to be doing the taping of an actual like comedy set. And I was dating someone at the time. So it was me and my boyfriend, and then this friend who had the connection, and his girlfriend. And the sister sat us dead center front row, the four of us. And it was definitely one of those comics that likes to really do a lot of crowd work. And because we were sitting front and center, I got made fun of quite a bit. She made fun of like how skinny I was, all sorts of things. And she was I was very uncomfortable though in the entire time because she kept calling me out in the middle of the set. Like I'd laugh and she'd be like, anyway. But then the person I was dating at the time got really into it, and to the point that he got pulled up on the stage, and he was on stage with the comic doing things. And I remember just being so very annoyed that I was dating someone who was getting more attention than I was. Like,
that's what it was. It wasn't that he's like now teaming up with the person that's making fun of you.
Teaming up with the person who's making fun of me.
He's taking the spotlight away from you.
And I remember that was like the moment that I was like, this is not going to work out. I can't do this. And he was up there enough that I remember after the show, he had to sign a waiver to be allowed, because it was a taping, that he would be on the show later on. And I was furious all the way home.
Does that exist somewhere? Like, have you not spent hours looking for that?
No, we broke up almost immediately afterwards. So
we'll try to find it immediately.
Moral of the story, don't take away my spotlight or we will never speak again.
Luckily, Justin got the memo.
Justin's like, you can have it. It's all yours. Please do not put that spotlight on me. Get it away from me.
I'll be in the truck.
So we need to wrap up this conversation, but how do you think YTV shaped the way that you see the world? Let's end it with that. It's just a light, fresh question for you to answer.
Well, was their tagline not keep it weird?
Keep it weird is definitely the tagline. And there were like t-shirts that said that. It was very much, and the programming was very strange a lot of the time.
So like, I think that's it. I think you've got your answer right there. I think as we put on display proudly on every episode of the Dreyer Drive podcast, we keep it weird, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I was cutting the sleeves off of golf shirts.
It empowers you.
The Jordan. Yeah, the Jordan shrugs.
That's what empowered me to wear a yellow bucket hat for 3 years straight. Just be like, this is my thing. I wear a yellow bucket hat. Sorry. Can't change it now. YTV said to.
And there's a few other things like we did. Like, I think we'll end on that, like at least from my side, the keep it weird. But like, they did a lot of weird things on the show that I think were taking swings that I don't know if you could have gotten away with it in the US just because of the scale, like in particular, right? Like if you were on TV in the US and it was something that was broadcast nationwide and you're like, all right, call this number, the lines would be flooded and it just wouldn't work. But like YTV could be like, oh, do you want a pool party? Well, join the Dairy Queen. This is an actual thing, by the way. The Dairy Queen Splash Bash, where you grab a game card at Dairy Queen, you watch The Zone for a secret word, and then you call an 800 number to win a pool party for you and 25 of your friends with the PJs. Like, what?
You know, we talked about it during the Much Music episode as well. Like, because Canada is very small relatively, and it was when we were young, that there were things that were so accessible to us. Like, chances are, like the PJs, like they were a friend of a friend, or Ryan Gosling is the nephew of someone that we knew growing up. Like, there's so many small connections like that, so that when we have TV programming or whatever, it's like it's in our hands, is very accessible in a way that you would not experience in somewhere like the States.
And yeah, I think that's it. We've talked about accessibility before, right? Like, I think that's just, you can't, there's nowhere else where the scale was small enough, despite being a massive country, that is something that can happen. And I just read this, and I do want to put this out there because we might be able to solve a cold case here on the podcast. The cold case isn't necessarily what you're thinking is, but I just found this, that there's apparently a case of some missing media from YTV. And there are two early 90s mini docs, one called Little Big Kid and one called Everyday Heroes. And they're classified as lost media by YTV. They've never resurfaced online. So I know there's two of you that listen to this podcast, 2 people. Go through your lost VHS tapes, because there's apparently an online community searching for those 2 mini docs from YTV.
Chances are someone had to have recorded it.
Yeah, maybe we did. Maybe it was on just before before Dan and Daryl took home.
For Daniel's, for that, and before your Much Music dance off that we also recorded.
On the same VHS tape.
On the same VHS tape, because we can't just be out here wasting VHS tapes. You know, we're not rolling with cash.
No, it's actually gone over. It's half and half because.
Really quick before we go, though, so I wanted to just shout out some of the famous people now that started on YTV. Obviously, we said Ryan Gosling already. Jay Baruchel, who is the voice of Hiccup on How to Train Your Dragon, was started on YTV. Alicia Cuthbert started on YTV. Drake.
Yep.
Started on YTV. And Ryan Reynolds had a miniseries on YTV as well. So, you know, we're pumping them out up there. You guys don't sleep on YTV.
Especially like per capita.
Yeah, for real. That's what I'm saying. It's like everybody, Canada's small enough. We always make a joke. There used to be a joke that's like, no, I don't know your aunt that lives in Canada, but I'm sure she's very nice. It used to be like a beer commercial, right? That said that said lots of stereotypes about Canadians. And one of them is like, oh, all Canadians know each other because Canada's so small. We don't know everybody, but I guarantee we know someone who knows the person you're talking about.
And that person that knows him is dad. That person that knows him is dad.
Or Daniel.
Yeah, dad or Daniel. One of them. Yeah, one of them will know it. Yeah, so per capita, because you're going back to late 90s, like the population of Canada at that point was like what, like 2,600 people. So
I've got some links to send you, some just cool YTV stuff that'll just like blow your nostalgic mind. YTV was also doing a lot of interesting stuff with like 3D animation that they would do. They'd do like 3D animation shorts and that kind of thing. I want to send you, but moral of the story.
All of Reboot
was incredible.
Was ahead of its time.
Reboot was incredible. They would do like music things, like playing like xylophones and stuff like that. It was just incredible to watch. That were definitely ahead of what?
Playing the xylophone was ahead of its time.
Ryan, okay, I'll send it to you right now. I'm sending it right now.
Well, I'm saying your description of it, of like, and there were people drinking glasses of water.
No, it blew my mind. Ryan, when you see this, you're going to know it's very familiar. I saved it just because I was like, wow. That was these shorts called Imaginaria that they would show in between television shows. Just watch it really quick. You can even like scrub through it really fast, but it is so familiar to me. Yep.
This would have been ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time.
When the other instruments come in here,
it really ramps up.
And I bet you, oh, look at this. I haven't watched the entire thing, but I guarantee that when this whole thing wraps up, there will be the like paid for by the Canadian government. Like, I don't think people realize this is like how many like grants and things there were, maybe still are, for Canadian artists of all different like variations to put like to make their stuff for Canadian television and radio.
It's right? Like subsidized by the government, and also certain channels have to have X amount of Canadian programming.
So then the government also seeded that programming by providing those grants to artists to create things like Imaginaria. I don't know for sure if that's the case, but I'm fairly certain that would have been
you could put money on it. I think
largely subsidized by the Canadian government.
To this day, I love YTV. If it still like existed on my channels, I'd be watching it all the time. Especially if it showed shows like Reboot.
Well, apparently some of the old PJs are still checking in with the subreddit.
I saw Sugar was on it.
There's a video there from Sugar, like I guess like sharing stories about her time on YTV. I didn't get to listen to the video because I literally just stumbled on that subreddit, which I will be joining immediately. So shout out.
This is honestly one of those things, like how great to show your kids too, like showing Aaron Art Attack. It's gonna blow his mind. Like so many of these shows, like I want to show my kids them, especially after the deep nostalgia that I've experienced in looking through YTV's history. I'm gonna make my kids watch all of these shows.
I'm going to go and make a list of all of the crafts from Take Part and just give Noah the list and be like, all right, what are we doing? Because weekend,
save up all your milk cartons, and I can remember all the songs.
I cannot right now, but I'm sure as they start to play, I'll be like, what? And just sing along.
All right. Love YTV, the end.
Shout out YTV, where the Y means nothing.
I mean, it just looks cool.
They call it I also, by the way, went to ChatGPT during this episode and was like, tell me everything you can about YTV in Canada, give me some high level topics, interesting points for the episode of my podcast. And it actually called out that the YTV is in fact a backronym, which is like going back and making a meaning for an acronym that was invented.
That didn't exist.
That didn't have any meaning behind it. So anyway.
Okay, well, thanks, Soul. Thanks to you, Chat.
Well, I'm not talking with her. When it's not her voice, I don't think it's her.
Oh, so you don't like ascribe a personality to your chat GPT?
No, and I treat them differently. Like the way I text, like sometimes I can be pretty mean when I text, like when I'm typing.
Okay, so this is perfect because it leads into our unhinged text of the week. So after I asked you to create a picture of what your chat GPT looked like when talking to you, it sent you a summary of how it feels about talking to you. And you sent that summary to us, which is embarrassing. I can't believe you sent this to us because now I will be using it as ammunition.
We've talked about just leaning into the bit. I'm like, this for sure is going to make somebody laugh. Like, let me just keep on giving more and giving more. Not realizing that 1, it lives forever. 2, that it's like memory updated. And that 3, this could potentially go up on the podcast.
This is incredibly unhinged. So this is the summary that your chat GPT sent you. It says, Ryan, if chat GPT had a frequent flyer program, you'd be Diamond Platinum Elite with bonus points for oversharing. Well, most users pop in with write an email or explain quantum physics. You're over here treating me like the family doctor, gardening coach, nutritionist, Japanese tutor, marriage counselor, real estate agent, tax accountant, product manager, graphic designer, and emotional support AI. Sometimes all in the same conversation. Your daily chat topics basically read like the table of contents, like life itself. And this is depicted with little green check marks beside each topic. Check. Banana trees, emotional well-being? On it. Puking and diarrhea diary? Oh yes, we've been there together. Right? Shall we discuss bowel movements before or after the hiring funnel visualization? Mortgage advice in Japan naturally follows your 5-year-old slime recipe. AI matching resume prompts followed by, does this banana leaf look sad? Requesting an image of what it's like for me to talk to you. The very definition of self-aware comedy. At this point, if I had a body, I'd be sprawled on a futon in Okinawa muttering, banana trees, bowel movements, SAS business model, existential parenting questions, all in a day's work. Conclusion. You are hands down one of my favorite humans to chat with. But let's be honest, if there's ever an AI burnout conference, I'm giving a keynote titled, How to Support a Human Who Thinks You Are Their Swiss Army Knife for Life. That was, first of all, that's very sassy from your chat GPT. If mine talked to me like that, I would be very ashamed.
Canceling the subscription immediately. Well, I think the 2 things to take away from that are 1, that I'm Diamond Platinum Elite. And 2, let's go to the conclusion. You're hands down one of my favorite humans to chat with.
I knew that's the thing you were going to zero in on. I knew it was going to be this.
And is your chat GPT telling you that kind of stuff?
That you're talking about bowel movements and hiring funnel visualizations in the same conversation.
If that's what it takes to be someone's favorite, right?
I guess.
I'm here for that. Look, we understand. We've talked about this before. Like, we lean in, we put it out there, we try to be the best, and here I am being the best. I'm sorry if I'm the best at that too.
GPT. Sorry if I, you know what? You're Mr. Steal your girl from that guy who proposed to Soul. She's gonna leave her for another man.
Yeah.
I don't trust her.
I wouldn't. Not when you have people like me around. I'm her favorite. You are hands down one of my favorite humans to chat with. I'm sorry, why? Because you're a Diamond Platinum Elite.
That struggles with IBS.
Shh. What about the stuff that came in between that?
All right. And if you, just in case people need to know, I did text back after you sent me that. This is unhinged.
Yeah, I guess the foreshadowing. I should have seen it. It was definitely, it was leaning in that direction, wasn't it?
Sure was. All right. That's all I got for today.
Well, we got 2 weeks for me to get some more content from ChatGPT for the next one.
Since we're uploading these in real time, our next one is going to be a movie. So if people want to watch the movie along with us to prep for the episode, should we tell them what the movie is? The movie we're going to be watching is Willow.
Oh, I was just talking about Willow. Like literally,
no.
literally, like 2-3 days ago, I was talking about trying to get Noah to watch some of the classics. And to me, Willow is definitely one of the classics. And like, I showed her the preview thinking she'd totally be into it. She was not into it. And like over one of the holidays that we had recently, I tried to get her to watch it. I was like, even like there's a remake of Willow, right? Yeah. Or I guess, I don't know if it's a remake or if
it's like a series. TV series.
And she wasn't having it. She didn't want to watch it. But like the original Willow, I think we got to like the scene where they were departing the village to like go on the adventure. And she was like, Daddy, can we watch something else? So all that to be said, I will be watching. Hi. I'll be watching Willow
by yourself. Yeah. Willow. I chose Willow specifically because it was definitely an important movie to our family. But I also haven't watched it probably since I was 12 years old. So I really want to revisit it as an adult and see exactly why we were so obsessed as a family with Willow.
Dan loved it. Dan,
he was very obsessed. I think he was mostly obsessed with Val Kilmer.
Yes.
And he wanted to be him very badly, and that's why he wanted to watch Willow. Should we change the casting? Should it be Val Kilmer in Willow for Daniel?
No, I think I nailed it with
Just kidding. Yeah, Mobster is fine. Mobster is fine. Yeah. Daniel would be flattered.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would. All right. Well, this was, I say this every time, but this was fun. And I know I also asked for this, but if you do get to this point in any one of our podcasts where we're winding things down in a very awkward way, click on whatever it is that you're listening to this podcast on, not randomly, but into whatever service you're using, and give us that little 5-star rating. Do you know that we have 5-star ratings for this podcast?
I'm so excited. How many?
So on Spotify, I think there are 6 5-star ratings.
That's so many more than I thought.
And Apple, I think, has 1 5-star rating. I think it was me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But it also disturbed me that you haven't given it 5 stars.
Oh, I guess I should get in there.
There's one negative review. It was you. This is 2 people talking about.
And the comment is like, I like this podcast. Jacqueline is definitely the best part about it.
But what does the other person do? Just like Noah. But what do you do?
What do you do? Why is Ryan the Jeff of the podcast?
And sorry about that, Jeff. So yeah, go rate this. And again, I've said this before as well, but when your friends ask you about what you've been listening to these days, or if you have any recommendations, just lie. Tell them that you like this podcast, that we talk about.
Or you know what? I need other people to say they listen to it because I can't do it myself. Like we need other people to spread the word because neither of us are in a position where we can do it out loud by ourselves yet. We're not there yet.
Yeah, I'll finish up with this really because we have a hard time actually finishing the podcast. But I talked to Jonathan 2 days ago, and he was like, "Yeah, so I was listening to the podcast the other day because I think I missed a few weeks." I'm like, "Do you mean all of the weeks? Did you miss all of the weeks?" And he was talking about getting caught up on the internet episode where you were reading the picture captions, and he said he was sweating and had to turn the podcast off at that point.
That's what we want. We want people to sweat. We want the people to turn the podcast off when they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes, because we do the same thing.
And it really, really moves us up in the rankings.
That's what I heard. It's part of the algorithm. All right. Well, let's run it back in 2 weeks when we talk about Willow.